10 canvas, okay? This one is actually pretty tight, but I want to talk to you first off about what to do, hey Tina, about what to do if your canvas comes out of the package and it's got some sag to it, okay? Because when you start putting things on top, if it's already saggy, it's just gonna get worse. This one's pretty tight, okay? If you get your canvas out of the package and it's saggy, okay? Here's what you're gonna wanna do. There are several options. Option one, some of the larger canvases come with these canvas keys, okay? This is what this is called, is a canvas key, and I can't get the bag open. They're just little wedges. Dagnabbit. Let me just cut this sucker. They're little wedges that you can use to tighten your canvas. Hey, Elena. All right, so I'm gonna show you real quick how to do that. So if your canvas is loose and it came with these canvas keys, here's what you're gonna do, all right? So what you can do is take these keys, and if you see, there are some little notches in the corner, and they're, one's higher than the other one, so that you can use both two keys in each corner. And what this does is, I'm gonna go ahead and put one in. I can't talk. You're gonna take one and tap it in, and you can take a hammer and put it in really tight. I don't have a hammer on me, but you can jam that in on both corners, or on the corner on both sides. And what that does is it stretches out the wood a little bit, which in turn tightens up the canvas, okay? So if you have canvas keys, you want to use something to just tap that a little so it's super tight. You can use your canvas keys to tighten up your canvas. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't, hey girl, if you don't have canvas keys and you have a saggy canvas, let me tell you what will also work. These things are about the same thickness as those paint sticks you can get from Home Depot, okay? So go grab you a bunch. Just get you a couple, 3-4 handfuls and just cut them down. And they actually cut fairly easy even with a box knife, okay? So you can just cut them down, cut them kind of at a little angle, and then wedge them in. Tap it with a little hammer and do all 4 corners, and that should tighten up your canvas, okay? So these are called canvas keys, all right? If that doesn't work, it should, but if that doesn't work, or if you don't have canvas keys, a second thing you can do is mist. You can mist your canvas. I'm going to take these out so we can mist. You can mist your canvas with water to tighten it as well, okay? So if your canvas is saggy and loose, you can turn it upside down. You want to spray on the inside, and you want to mist, okay? You don't want to saturate, because here's what's going to happen if you saturate. If I put a bunch of water right on the inside here, what that water is going to do, it's going to take a long time to dry, but it's also going to draw up the cotton from this canvas in this area, but it's going to not get this outside edge, and then you're going to have a mess because it's going to stay. It's going to tighten up in here. Yes, that would stay in. You could also, if you needed to cut them off, just get a little box knife and cut them off, or cut them off before you tap them in. But I just leave them in when I use them. If you put too much water here and it starts to tighten up just that center, you've got 1.5 inches worth of canvas all the way around that outside edge that's not going to tighten, and then you're going to get puckering on your corners. All right, it's going to tighten up right here. It's not going to tighten here, and you're going to have those little puckers in the corners of your canvas. So you're going to mist lightly. Let's mist. This is my favorite little mister. It's an ultrafine mister from Hobby Lobby. You can see it's well loved and well used. So you're gonna just mist, don't saturate, and you're gonna let that air dry. I usually like to keep them flat. Don't lean it up against something because it's going to pucker if you do that. I like to just leave it flat, let it air dry, and as that water starts saturating that canvas, as it starts to dry, it's gonna make it shrink a little, and it's going to be a little tighter on the forefront of your canvas. Now, they also make a spray that you can buy on Amazon or Dick Blick or a lot of the art stores that sell canvas. I don't think I've ever seen it at the Hobby Lobby. But they have this spray. I don't know what the difference is, but they say it's special made for tightening canvases. It might have some ingredient in it that I don't know about, but I've always just used water to tighten my canvas with no problem. But they do, just to be completely clear, they do make a spray that you can use to spray it. All right. After you talk about, I can talk about warped canvas frames, but I actually posted recently about how to, if your canvas, let me finish this and then remind me, Margaret, and we'll talk about that too. Those thicker ones often pucker anyway. I've fixed by misting the front of the corners. Yes, Joanne said that sometimes hers has puckered anyway, and you can fix that by misting the top, okay? I just like to do the back, but whatever works for you, you can 100%, we'll just go ahead, mist, and you wanna be light, okay? You don't wanna oversaturate. Let me wipe up the water. You don't want to oversaturate, okay? That is key. Do not douse it in water. It's going to pucker, all right? So that is how you're gonna tighten up your canvas. You can use the canvas keys. You can use misted, thin layer of misty water, or you can get the stuff that they sell in the store that will tighten your canvas, but it's pretty much done the same as water. You would just mist it and let it dry, and that water helps the canvas shrink up, all right? That is the easy way. Now, I'm gonna give you two different options that I've used, both options for tightening or for having your canvas nice and flat or nice and straight. I don't know what's wrong with me today. It's Saturday. My brain said, girl, stop talking. I don't know. So sometimes we add a good bit of glass. I can't figure out where to put my canvas. Sometimes you might have a canvas, especially for the thinner ones. Right. Sometimes the thinner ones sag more than the others because it's just the nature of there's not as much canvas wrapped around the back. So sometimes what I like to do, if I know I'm going to be putting a lot of glass, especially right in the center, I can feel this tightening up already. Sometimes especially if you have a larger canvas and you have, and you're going to be putting a lot of glass in the center, one of the things I like to do is just tuck a little bit of cardboard underneath my canvas or inside my canvas, and that will give me a solid, rigid surface. Listen to that now. That's so tight. Putting a little bit of cardboard inside your canvas is going to keep your canvas rigid, and you would just take that out when your resin is hardened so that it doesn't sag from the weight of glass. So what I like to do is just cut a piece of rigid cardboard. You don't want it to be super thick, because if you put something super thick under there. It's then gonna stick up and then you'll see the ridge, all right? You want it to be thinner than the gap. That gap in your canvas between the frame and the actual fabric, you want it to be thinner than that. But what you can do, cut it just a little bit wider than your canvas. You're gonna take that cardboard, you're gonna tuck it in, scoot it over so that you have a hard surface. And then once the resin is cured, you can just go in and pull that out. I cut that one a little small, but you can see how that would work, okay? So you wanna tuck it in, you want it to be a little bit wider, maybe a 1/4 inch wider than your canvas so that it doesn't fall out, so it stays inside, okay? So that is option 1. This is the cheapie option. You can totally do that. The next option is this. And I've done this before on a large piece of art when I knew I was going to be putting a ton of glass. All right. So you're going to do your artwork, do all your painting, your whatever it is you're using, whether it's modeling paste, thick bodied paint, whatever. Do all your painting. Then mix up a small amount of resin, just enough to do a super thin layer on the front of your canvas over the top of your art, and put it on your art and just rub it in, smear it in, take it all the way to the edge. And that is going to give you a rigid surface. Once that is dry, I would normally give it 8 to 12 hours. You're gonna come back, you're gonna put your glass bits where it's gonna be, and then you can resin right over the top of that again, okay? I have done that before when I knew I was gonna use a ton of glass. So it's really useful, okay? So that is how to prevent and or fix a saggy canvas, because nobody wants a saggy canvas, right? Julie has a...
Somebody asked about removing those keys out of the back. Couldn't you remove them after the resin hardened?
You could. You could, but here's the thing. If you put them in, and if your canvas is super loose and you put it in, it could, if you put a lot of weight on it, it could sag anyway. You know, you want it to stay tight, especially once you have the resin on it. So I normally just cut them. You can tap it in, take a little box knife and just score that and cut it, or leave them in. Or if you want, if it's a small piece, you can probably take them out and reuse them. But I wouldn't do it on a larger piece. You want to just keep them in there. All right, let's see. Let me see. Do we have any more questions I need to answer, Miss JJ? Okay, let's talk real quick about warped canvas. Let's talk first about how to store your canvases so they don't warp. All right. Number 1, don't leave your canvases, especially larger ones. I would say anything larger than maybe a 6x6. You don't want to store them flat. Okay. You don't want to store flat and stack them all on top of each other. Store your canvases upright. And I store my canvases face to face, back to back or face to face. So on this side, I would do it back to back. On this side, I would do it face to face. This is going to keep, and don't store your canvases leaning up against something. That's just asking for trouble. That's probably going to warp if you do that. All right. So that's the best way to store your canvases. Anything bigger than like a 6x6 or an 8x8, I would store upright, front to front, or back to back. Do not stack them. All right. So if it's already warped, I don't know what to tell you about that. I always, when I go to Michael's and buy large canvases, I always lay them on the floor to make sure they're not warped, because there's nothing worse than getting a canvas home and realizing that it's like bouncing. Like when you lay it on your table, it's bouncing. Hey, Diana. But when you're buying them at the store, lay it on the grounds and make sure it's not already warped. Because the only way to fix a canvas that's already warped is to bust it apart. You know, you would literally have to like take the staples out and put it together again. All right, just keep them vertical, don't lean them, and test your canvas on the ground at the Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I know that's hard to do when you are ordering canvases, but I'm going to tell you this right now. If you order canvases from Dick Blick or Michael's and they come to you warped, send them back. Take them back to the store, send them back, whatever, because there's nothing worse than a warped canvas. They should take those straight back.